All right, we are back for another episode of Inside the Box. Today I have local firefighter and business owner Brian Frieze with me here. Brian owns Sangamon Reclaimed, and if you don't know what that is, you've been under a rock, I think, for a while. What's going on, Brian?
Not much. Thanks for having me, man. It's good to be here.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for joining me. Glad we could set this up. I know we talked about it a couple times, so excited to have you on. Well, Brian, I think maybe just give just to start off a brief little, let people know if they don't, like I said, I think most people know what Sangamon Reclaimed is, at least here in town, but give a little elevator pitch, I guess, of what you guys do.
Yeah, so Sangamon Reclaimed got started back in 2014. Like you said,
it's been that long.
Yeah, so I tore down a family barn in 2013 and just kind of grew from there. We started with reclaimed wood, did a lot of the kind of rustic furniture stuff, and we've evolved a lot as a wood shop. Now we kind of primarily focus on finished furniture, so conference tables and kitchen tables, things like that. We do a lot of custom bar design. Our work's all over Springfield and from Austin, Texas, up to Chicago. I mean, we've done work quite a bit of work all over the place, but most of our work's here local.
Yeah. So you said in 2014 there was you started just randomly. Was it a barn someone just asked you about? Or
yeah, so 2013 we had a family barn they were going to bulldoze, and I just kind of stepped in and said, why don't you reuse that wood for something? Spoke a little too soon, I guess. So I stuck my head up, and they said, it's yours if you want it. So I got some buddies from high school. Actually, Brian Willie, my now brother-in-law, he came out. He was in chiropractic school at the time. My buddy Chris Doty, we went to high school together, and he was in engineering school. And they all came up, and we tore down this barn piece by piece. No idea what the heck we were doing. Yeah. And we started salvaging the wood. So we took all the wood down, sold it to a guy, and he was like, "Man, you guys are pretty good at this. You guys want to do some more?" So I tore down 38 barns with kind of different crews. A lot of the guys on the fire department helped me, and we just did it on our days off and sold the wood. And basically, I pocketed the proceeds and started buying equipment because I knew long term I wanted to build a wood shop. I knew I wanted to, I looked at when I first bought a house. My wife and I bought our first house. I started looking at furniture, and it's either junk,
right?
It's particle board stuff from IKEA and other places like that,
for sure,
or it costs an arm and a leg. And so we kind of looked at that as kind of my motivation of I wanted to build quality solid wood furniture, whether it's out of reclaimed or we do a lot of live edge slabs now. Everything we do is solid wood. There's no particle board crap in anything quality, that we build.
Yeah. So had you been into like woodworking and stuff?
Yeah. So my dad owns a construction company, built houses. So I grew up on the job site, learned how to use tools growing up, and then I had a grandpa who did a little bit more fine woodworking. But when I got into it and I really decided the direction that I wanted to go with it, I brought in some guys that I was in the military with. Two guys that had a lot more experience than I do, doing a lot of fine woodworking, building furniture, things like that. Brought them in, and they kind of taught my guys, and they both kind of said, "Hey, we'll come in for a couple years. We'll help you grow the business." And then they kind of retired and went their own way. But those guys were huge as far as kind of helping us build a skill set that's kind of evolved over time.
Nice, that's awesome. So we just remodeled our new house that we moved into, and I built the shelves in my pantry, so I feel pretty proud about that.
There you go. And your mantle. Got your mantle squared away, right?
Yeah, I can't really. I mean, the design. I gave some input on the design, but I can't give much credit for that.
Yeah.
No, I've slowly got some like random tools over the years, just because I don't know. I just like creating. So, but I felt good about it. It was we had already spent a lot, so I was like, I'll just try to do this, and I did an okay job. But I learned along the way, and then the same with like a little coat hanger thing I made. It was just random.
Yeah, but there's satisfaction building those types of things yourself. You know what I mean? Like it's I don't know. Kind of my favorite days right now are going in the wood shop on Sundays. So get the kids down for a nap or whatever. I'll go in on Sunday and I'll just work on stuff for me. Or stuff for my house. Yeah. And my wife will be the first to admit that our stuff's on the back burner.
Right. I know that's what I always deal with too, because like. Obviously we do kind of marketing and videos and all kinds of stuff, but I have like so many videos that I just want to make myself.
Yeah.
And I started like a new channel, and that's kind of what I talked to you about that one time, but just to try to help push me to, it's called Create More, but create more, like whatever it is, you know what I mean? Even if it's me doing woodwork, it's just, there's something when you make something, no matter what it is, and then put it out there or done with it and see it, which I'm sure that, you love too with the stuff you guys do.
Yeah, there's certain satisfaction you get from that. Like I was saying about being in the wood shop on Sundays just by myself and just creating.
Yeah.
Like I think sometimes in business, I'm sure you do too. You get in the kind of in the mindset of it's business. We're
Right.
what work needs to be done. What's next. And I think that just kind of being able to step back and have
remember why you started.
Yeah, have those moments when you can really just kind of appreciate it. So.
Mm-hmm. So how? Man, that's crazy. I didn't know it was 2014. What would you say your biggest kind of would you say residential or commercial stuff was?
I would say I just asked this question the other day and just guessing I would say probably 70% residential.
Yeah.
We made a big push in 2020. Ironically, our goal in 2020 was to get more into the commercial sector. So we've been really fortunate over the years that we've got we've got a lot of local businesses that have supported us. Custom Cup Coffee was one of them. They were the first people to really reach out and just let us build all their tables, and really let us kind of showcase our work in their space. And I couldn't tell you how many people come in and are like, hey, Brent Kendra told us about you guys down at Custom Cup, and we saw your tables and we love them, and so on. Spirit Republic up in Lincoln was another big one that we got to do their entire build out. Well, that was pretty early on, and this year, we kind of made that our focus. Like we really I want to build those tables in a restaurant where hundreds of people see them a night, as opposed to I build you a kitchen table and maybe 100 people see it over the course of the lifetime. So we really were
get that appreciation.
Yeah, and so we've had some really cool projects this year.
I saw you were doing some stuff at the new Vele location.
Yeah. Like so Vele, we actually helped with the build out of their first location downtown.
Oh, okay.
A few years back, and they called us and told us they're moving, which is obviously, like most people, is a little disappointing to see them leaving downtown, but everybody has their reasons.
Right.
So they've got a great space in the old American Harvest space out west, and they commissioned us to build all of their tables.
Yeah,
and then we get 90% done with it.
We might be able to. Ryan, do you want to see if we could pull up some Vele shots here? Let's go ahead and scroll down there. There's
the wine racks there
on that left one there.
Yeah.
If you're listening, you can check out the video on YouTube and Facebook. That's cool. Did you guys set up the lighting and everything?
The cool thing is, so we did that build out 3 or 4 years ago, whatever it was. And when they called us for the new build out, one of the first things they said is, hey, we want to reuse everything that you guys made the first time.
Oh, nice.
So we ended up going from salvaging barns and back in the day. Now we do a commercial demo. We tear out all their stuff at the old Bailey location, and the wine racks that you were looking at there. Those are all salvaged wood from their original location.
Oh, okay.
We tore it all out and we rebuilt all kinds of stuff for them. So
nice. So they're bringing some of that, from their first location.
Exactly. Yeah.
Location.
Yeah. They didn't want to see any of that stuff go to waste. They didn't want to leave it there. So that we were able to tear it out, kind of took it back to the shop, reprocessed it, and built some new stuff out of it. And then we also took and we built 30.
You can see if there's any. Are there? I feel like I've seen more.
Yeah, there's some.
On there, so.
There's some round tables, and there's some live edge tables.
Let's scroll down a little bit, Ryan. Man, look at some of that work. I love those. Here, Ryan, scroll up a little bit and click that one with the blue epoxy. I love these tables.
Yeah, we do a lot of those. And
I feel like those have gotten a lot more popular, like recently.
Yeah, they really have. And that's kind of one of the things that with Sangamon Reclaimed, with the name and everybody kind of relates us back to the burnwood stuff.
Right.
And when we started, it was all reclaimed wood stuff. As we've grown, one of the things I want to focus on with our team is growing a skill set that's going to pass through time. It's going to transition no matter what the style is. Reclaimed wood kind of had its phase, and we still do a lot of it, but it's all more finished product. Now it's the live edge and the epoxy stuff, and we do a lot of that type of stuff. But the skill set that we've developed with our team is going to transcend whatever style of woodworking is.
How so you've been doing this for over 6 years now, it sounds like. How hard has it become? I mean, obviously there's only so much old barns out there, to tear down and whatnot. How hard has it became to find that old wood for the people that do want that reclaimed wood?
So the big thing about reclaimed wood is it's a commodity like anything, and I had no idea when I started this thing. The price of reclaimed wood in the last 10 years has tripled in price.
Right.
It is becoming harder and harder to find, and so the big thing is for us when I first started, I was tearing we were tearing down the barns ourselves, all that, and as we the wood shop expanded and the business expanded, we realized that that was a piece that we needed to kind of eliminate. So we've got crews that we send out to tear them down now. We subcontract that stuff out. Yeah. But we have so many sources for reclaimed wood these days. People are calling us nonstop with barns to tear down. We just kind of put them in the right direction, try to be that middleman to just at least give them somebody who can provide them a solution. But we're not interested in tearing down barns anymore or any of that stuff.
Seems like some hard work.
It was fun for a while, but there's it takes a lot of time, a lot of nights and weekends away from the house, and not something I'm willing to do anymore.
Does now I know you said you're not really doing it anymore, but when you're tearing down the barns and stuff, do you how careful do you have to be to make sure you can still reuse that wood? Is it kind of just just pull it off, or
so that's the thing, and people think that they've got this big barn and they're going to salvage all of this wood out of it. It takes a ton of time, man. It it really is. It's piece by piece. It's pry bars. It's it's every little thing piece by piece, because otherwise you're going to damage it. If you wrap a chain around and start pulling, you're going to salvage a fraction of what you could. Mm-hmm. And it's 100-plus-year-old old growth wood. It's not something that you can just you can't take it for granted, because it's going to run out. And so from the reclaimed wood perspective, it's really a finite resource that eventually. We look at reclaimed wood that was built in the 1800s, which is most of the barns that we dealt with. We look at that as being old. Well, you go on the East Coast and they kind of laugh at that. 1700s is old for them. And so what we're going to end up with is kind of what the phase in Chicago right now, in some of these bigger areas where, now they're looking at reclaimed lumber as anything that they're able to salvage. So it's, what they call mid-century lumber now. So it's, as opposed to being rough sawn in texture and old growth wood, it's salvaged out of these row houses that were built in the 50s. Yeah. And so the wood's not what we consider old, but it's just a different perspective,
Huh. Yeah, people's kind of perspective on what reclaimed is. But I guess I get that. Technically, you could, if you are reusing it, it's kind of reclaimed, but that's interesting. I never thought about how big the difference would be either from the East Coast. Do you ever get people coming how do I phrase this question? Do people ever bring you wood? Hey, I want you to make, here's this wood I have from something.
Those are some of the coolest projects we have, actually. So we've gotten into these projects where you'll bring me wood from your grandpa's farm or whatever, and ask us to build you a table. And those are, at first, when I first started business, I was like, I have wood to make stuff out of. Why do I need yours? But the sentimental aspect is such a key component of it. Yeah. We can take that wood and we can make you a piece that is going to be sentimental to you. It's going to mean so much more than if we made it out of our wood. And so we do a lot of those types of projects. We do a lot of what we call log to table projects, where if a tree comes down on your property, we can mill it up, we can dry the lumber, and then we build your furniture. And so you can say, hey, this kitchen table came from our backyard, or came from Grandpa's farm, or whatever it might be. Yeah. And so that's a really cool kind of dynamic, and we find ourselves doing a lot of those these days.
That is cool. Yeah, because I know we've talked about. I still want you to take a look at it to see if there's something I should do to it. But that piece that we did my mantle out of, we brought that back from Maine 5 years ago. We buried my father up there when he passed away. And we found that on the beach, and it was just such a cool piece of wood that, we hauled it back. We had driven, so we had a car to be able to bring it back. But I've had it for 5 years, never knew what I was going to do with it. Obviously, I was like, this would probably make a perfect mantle, but we never had a fireplace until now. Yeah. But I still want you to take a look at that thing to see if there's anything we should do to it, because it looks good how it is. I just don't know about how to sealing it, or is there something that you would do to a piece of wood like that to preserve it?
Or so it all depends. The biggest thing with the difference, and we run into this with every fireplace panel we buy. People want it to look as natural as possible, but they also want to be able to clean it. And so, if you leave it raw wood, it's just more difficult to clean. It's more susceptible to dust and things like that. But if you seal it, it is going to look less natural, and it's going to darken it quite a bit. So it's going to change the color and the appearance of it quite a bit. But
kind of choose your trade-off.
Yeah. So what we typically do is we'll take a cut off of that beam, and then we'll put a sealer on it and show you the difference, and then you can kind of weigh those options. But there's nothing wrong with leaving it natural. And there's a lot of wax finishes, things like that you can use that keep it a little bit more natural and still protect the wood. But
how it seems like there would be a lot I don't know. I guess this is probably with anything, but it just seems like there would be a lot of stuff to learn when dealing with like reclaimed wood and what's going to happen to it if you do something to it, and then like if you have, I guess if you have like extra of that wood, it's not a big deal. But just thinking like, was there? I mean, it's a lot different than using new wood. Obviously, was there a big learning curve there? The kind of the switch.
It is. There's definitely a difference in using reclaimed wood versus new wood. New wood's a lot easier to manipulate and make furniture out of. Reclaimed wood, it's warped and twisted over time. It's done whatever it's going to do. You have a little bit less control over it. The biggest thing that we've learned over time, and we're continue to learn, is how wood moves. You can build a table just like this, but if you don't understand how it's going to expand and contract over time, it's kind of a living, breathing thing. Still, it's got to be able to expand and contract. And there's a table like this is perfect, but if you put breadboards on the end of it, and a lot of guys just want to slap these breadboards on the end of it to give it the look of it, well, then the wood can't move like it needs to. And so you learn these things over time. We've learned them the hard way, when we were first in business. And thank God for YouTube too. I mean, there's so many tips.
Right.
And I think about that and just being in business in general.
Yeah.
Like even when we first started businesses, because how long have you been doing this?
We are about a little over 4 years.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so you think about like even just then, like how many, YouTube obviously was up and going.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I never went to school for video.
yeah, you just learned how to do it via YouTube, right?
Yeah.
And think about that from the business perspective. If 20 years ago these entrepreneurs, had the resources available that
Right.
we have. Like we can just get online and see. We can learn. We
Isn't
can
that crazy?
start listening to
Even
Steve Jobs or whoever. Yeah.
I think schooling, like I have so many friends that are, spending $500 to $800 a month just paying off school loans.
Yeah.
And it's like some of them are using it, some aren't, but and they're not even close to paid off. And it's like nowadays it just seems like unless you're going to be like a doctor or a lawyer, where you have to have that certification, it seems like if you just can put in the dedication, I feel like you can just really learn like anything on YouTube and the internet. It's so crazy.
My background, I'm a military guy, firefighter. Nothing that I've done in life has prepared me to run a business. I mean, the leadership side, I guess, from the military perspective has
what were you in?
Air Force.
Air Force.
Yeah, so I did 8 years in the Air Force as a firefighter. Kind of used that as a resume builder to get on the city of Springfield as a firefighter.
Yeah.
I knew that's what I wanted to do. Had no idea I wanted to start a business. And so when I went to start a business, now I've got to learn everything from scratch.
Right.
But I look back at 18-year-old Brian. Hey, had no idea. I knew I wanted to be a fireman.
Right.
I had no idea I wanted to run a business. So what business did I have personally? I mean, everybody's different, but for me personally, I had no business going to Eastern. I went to Eastern for a year, had fun, left, went to the military.
Yeah.
If I would have gone to school for business, I'm sure it would have helped prepare me, but I wasn't mentally in a place where I was prepared to learn that.
And that's what's weird about college is like same with me. Like I went there and I did learn some stuff, but mostly I just had a good time.
Yeah.
And it was, I am using my field. I did graphic communication with a minor in marketing. So I did learn a little bit and I had a couple good professors, but I don't know. It's just that's such a weird time to like send somebody away to learn more because they've grown up. Like most people don't want to be in school; they're ready to be done with school. But then it's like, you still got to go to college, and now you have some freedom where you can slack or whatever.
And it wasn't until for me, it wasn't until like my mid to late 20s when I really started like wanting to absorb as much as I could.
As you get older, you like want to learn.
Yeah, I want to learn as much as I can. I read more now than I've ever read in my life.
Yes,
and it's
all backwards.
Yeah, it really is. So you learn the hard way long enough, you finally decide to try to figure it out. So
a lot of the business stuff, was it a lot of learning along the way? Do you have any like mentors really, or?
Yeah, a little bit of both. I learned the hard way a little bit, but I've been very fortunate to have a couple, business leaders in the community that have kind of reached out to me and kind of taken me under their wing a little bit. I've got a couple guys that I can call anytime with anything and have a beer with them, talk business, talk about minute details of the business that I'm just trying to figure out how do I navigate this situation. So I've been really fortunate to have some good mentors in the business community, and it's crazy how
It's tough making decisions, man. Like, when
Yeah.
do you hire the next person, or
Yeah.
when's this?
When-
You got to be prepared for growth.
Yeah.
But do you hire now or do
Exactly.
you wait? It's like,
Yeah. The hiring and firing of employees is the hardest part by far.
yeah.
So I've been fortunate to have some really really good guys work for me, but you run through those challenges of when's it time to move on? When's it better for both of you for you to move on?
Man, this reminds me. I totally forgot my question. I always do this, but maybe we'll try. We'll see. But the hardest part of being a small business owner, I usually ask that at the beginning, but we'll try to revisit it at the end here still, even though I forgot at the beginning. But yeah, it's just weird figuring that stuff out. Like, I remember finally like giving in and learning, like, hire somebody to do what they're good at. So like, I was always doing my accounting.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, I got to a point where I could pay for an accountant to just like run payroll, do it all, so I don't got to worry about it. And I was just spending so much time on it. I was like, I know the time I'm spending on this, I could make more doing what I'm good at, or time with my family or whatever.
Yep.
So I finally started really putting a more of a value on my time and focusing on what I know. Like, I could make more. The hours I'm spending messing with my accounting, I can make more than if I just paid this guy to do it.
And it'll be done correctly, and
Exactly.
they can back up those books. We went through a sales tax audit in 2016, I think, and it was just a huge eye opener to the fact that I had no idea what the heck I was doing. From a bookkeeping perspective, I had no idea.
Yeah.
And
I know, it's like, what category does this go on? I'll just put it in there.
Yeah. And I don't know. I couldn't agree with you more on that, though, because you deal with that as a business owner. You, especially early on, everybody tells you time's money. Think about your time as money.
Yeah.
Well,
but you also have to have the money to pay.
Exactly, and it's just such a hard thing to finally grasp. But once you do, you're like, I'm not gonna do that. Like,
right.
why would I do that? I can go build tables and make a lot more, make more money than I can doing that.
Yeah. And that's what I kind of use that as a selling point when we're talking about, like, social media services and stuff. Like, one of the things I always say is we manage your social media so you can focus on managing your business.
Yep.
Because, like, I mean, even us, we've been doing better because we've started putting some stuff, kind of processes in place. But even like our social media, we don't do as well as we do our customers because we're just, our customers come first. That's where the income's coming from. That's what's paying the bills. But yeah, it's
and your product speaks for itself too. I mean, if I'm a prospective business wanting to hire you guys out for your services, I'm not going to look at your page. I'm going to look at your clients' pages. I'm going to look at what are you guys doing for these clients.
Yeah.
And
I hope most businesses will do that.
yeah. I mean, I'm more concerned with that than I am what your social media looks like.
Yeah. Now you guys have been doing some. I know you just did a little pop-up shop downtown. Is that still going on?
Yeah. So we'll be back down there again this weekend. So we went down Small Business Saturday. Historically, we've always had a big deal at our shop for Small Business Saturday. Last year, we did this Makers Market where we invited craftsmen from all around the area, everybody from
That was at your shop, though, right?
Yeah, potters, painters, you name it. And it was a really cool event, brought in a lot of people. Obviously, we knew that wasn't going to work this year. So we kind of looked at creative ways to get ourselves out in the community. And as opposed to prepping our shop for Small Business Saturday and not knowing what was going to happen, we said, you know what, we're going to go downtown. Local First put on this deal down there. Pop-up shop at 7th and Adams, and basically we took over a vacant space, and we had our shop there the Small Business Saturday, the Wednesday before that, and then it was vacant the weekend after that too, and said, you know what, we'll jump on that too. So we were there for 2 weeks straight for the holiday walks, and we're back down there again this Saturday.
Nice.
And it's cool. It's just a different group of people that don't necessarily see our stuff.
Yeah.
It's funny, you think we've been in business 6 years, you kind of made that comment early on.
Yeah.
A lot of people know about us, but there's a lot of people that don't.
Right.
Our Facebook following of 13,000 people or whatever, the Springfield metro area has got 250,000 people or so. There's definitely more potential clients out there that have no idea we even exist.
Yeah, and just so people know, not everything that they do or sell is like big expensive stuff or anything like that. I mean, you guys got some cool, like, what do you call them, flags for?
Yeah, we do our Flags for Heroes program. So we make these reclaimed wood American flags. They're just a wall art piece. They come in 3 different sizes, but The reason we call them the Flags for Heroes program is we do this philanthropy effort where basically a portion of the proceeds from all those flags go to different organizations that support military veterans and first responders. It's something really cool that we do. Our beneficiary right now is the Wreaths Across America. It's this weekend out at...
is that the one that they put the wreaths on the grave?
Yeah, out at Camp Butler. They basically... You buy X amount of wreaths, and we put them on the graves out at Camp Butler. It's a really cool emotional ceremony they do, so that's one of the beneficiaries of it.
So you choose different ones?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so there's certain ones that we sponsor their event every year. A lot of VFWs come to us and just ask for flags for donations, things like that. So whatever we can do to kind of stay involved in the military community, it's been a really cool experience. We actually went down to Fort Worth, Texas, a couple years ago. The Chris Kyle benefit was down there. He's the American Sniper. They did the movie after, but Chris's family actually, we reached out and we were just like, hey, we're selling these flags. We want to use them for good. We want to stay involved and we want to try to find a way to get back. And so his second annual benefit, we called out there and we emailed him. I'm sorry. We emailed him and just told him, hey, we want to give you guys a donation. Basically 10% of all the flags we sell in the next 6 months are going to go to you guys. And got a phone call from Chris's dad, Wayne, and I was just starstruck. I feel like I could get a phone call from a celebrity or an athlete or something. I'd be like, okay, that's kind of cool. But the Kyle family,
Isn't that funny how that works?
Yeah,
certain people have a bigger effect on you.
And they were just awesome. They just kind of took us in. They invited my wife Bree and I down to Texas for the benefit. We got to meet them. We presented their family with the flag, and that's something we've kind of. I got their number on my phone now. I can text them and just say, hey, how you guys doing? And they've bought several flags from us. And it's just things like that, just people like that are doing really good things, genuine things for the community. Being able to be involved with organizations like that's really cool.
Yeah, I know here where I've been trying to think of different ways to do things, and I want to start trying to do something too, some way to give back. I haven't decided quite yet what we're doing. I know this year my wife and I took on a couple of the foster kids or whatever. You buy Christmas presents for them through DCFS. So we did that, but I want to try to start try to start doing something too. I've had a couple different ideas, but I want to try to figure something out to try to just help out people that need it,
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, I think especially during all this COVID stuff.
Yeah,
I was hoping we could go the whole time without saying COVID. I think especially this year though, everybody's kind of looked around and realized local businesses, just do so much for the community. The big marketing company isn't going to worry about being involved in doing good things in the community.
Right.
If you're here in Springfield, you care about your community, you're going to try to do stuff to help your community. And I just think that there's been a new awareness for that, I guess, this year. One good thing that's come from all this crap.
I'm trying to look at some of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I know obviously restaurants and bars and stuff are kind of getting hit the worst. We were pretty blessed that we didn't get hit too bad, except for our customers at our restaurants. You know, some of them have kind of backed things down or put a pause on things. But we just try to pivot marketing, to help them. During the first kind of wave where they first shut things down, a couple of our customers, had record days. We just pivoted to, pickup and delivery and stuff like that. Has this everything kind of affected you guys at all, or how's?
So very similar, actually. So we initially, the big thing with us, 99% of what we do is custom. So, we're right now 8 to 10 weeks out on a kitchen table. So, if business stops today, I've got 8 to 10 weeks worth of work that we still have to finish.
Right.
And so that's kind of what happened early on is I had 2 guys full time in the wood shop, and we basically said, you know what, with the shutdown, here's what we're going to do. We're going to finish our obligation to our current customers, and we're going to kind of see what it looks like, 8 weeks from now. We did the whole PPP loan and all that stuff, and that kind of got us through for a little bit. We had a little dip in sales because we shut the showroom down for 6 weeks, I think. So we had, a little bit of a hit early on, but then we bounced right back. Everybody's sitting around their house like, hey, I need a new fireplace panel. I need this, I need that. And so our residential clients really picked up. But as I mentioned before, our big push this year was going to be commercial clients.
Yeah.
And we were really forced.
Kind of put a hinder in it a little
Well,
bit.
What? It did, but it didn't.
Some people were remodeling, though, a lot, I heard, too.
Yeah. So people are using this time when they're closed to fix those problems that they've been pushing off. So, Vela, you mentioned that. We did all their tables, all that stuff. We got them ready. And then as soon as they were ready to open, they were open for like 3 days and got closed down again. And so, while our business hasn't really hurt, we've definitely felt the hit from the commercial side. Vele Luminary's a client of ours as well. We're doing a lot of cool stuff in there, and it's just you see firsthand the impact that this is having on them, and in turn that does affect our sales. But it more importantly, like I'm not going to call anybody. I'm not going to call a commercial client and be like, hey, how can we do more work for you?
Right.
I mean, you're doing anything you can to help them stay alive.
Yeah. You don't. Come on, spend some money with me, even though I know you're struggling.
Yeah. So in turn, what we do is, you try to support those restaurants and order out at Vele or Luminary or wherever as you can. But it's tough seeing it from their perspective, because it's very different than what I see from my perspective, because we do still have a good flow of customers, and you almost feel guilty saying that.
Yeah.
But people are still spending money. It's just they can't go inside restaurants right now.
Right.
So.
Yeah. I wish things would just. Get back to I don't know if they ever will be, but it just the social, going out, it's just you almost, and then like us having kids, and it's like you kind of almost feel guilty sometimes when you're out, and it's like like my most of my family on my wife's side all got it. My wife had it. Somehow I didn't get it while she was, I quarantined with her or whatever, and got a couple tests to make sure I was good, because the last thing I wanted to do is give it to employees or anybody I know. But that was a big pain in the butt, having to quarantine and then try working from home, and then like my wife, she was definitely one of the people hit, because she was a hairstylist, so she was out. Know absolutely. What I mean? And she was out for a while, but it's a frustrating situation. So hopefully. We can move past that. Yeah. But how about, well, you kind of told me some news, but maybe you don't want to make that public yet. Should we save that? We'll save it. Let's save it.
We'll do it next time.
Pay attention for
next time.
For Sangamon Reclaimed. Got a good announcement coming up. What other, got some cool projects coming up? Anything else you can kind of talk about, or we could check out some other ones. I always like hearing the stories behind
one of the cool projects that's some other news that we haven't talked about that I can say is one of the big things that we noticed during this kind of whole time is the demand for people coming in wanting to buy stuff to do the DIY projects, like what you mentioned. A lot of these people are working from home, and they want to get their hands dirty, and they want to play a little bit in their garage or whatever. So the demand for raw material, whether people are buying barn siding and doing their own thing, or if they're wanting to come in and buy walnut slabs or whatever it was, that demand's increased a lot. And so back in December last year, I bought a sawmill. And then I also bought a kiln so I can dry my own lumber.
Oh, nice.
What we found out
is...
you
have all this out at your... out there
all out of Sangamon Reclaimed. So we are in the process of, and back in July we were going to release it, but we haven't done it yet, releasing Sangamon Hardwoods as a subsidiary company where we mill and dry our own lumber and have it available for woodworkers or DIYers to come buy raw lumber. Because really in Springfield... Pawnee Lumber's, I guess, about your best bet locally. Yeah. Lowe's and Menards aren't selling the kind of lumber that we sell.
Right.
So we have, walnut, cherry, oak, sycamore slabs out there, dimensional lumber.
Pawnee, I think, is where I went. Yeah, Pawnee. I did like at our old house. I did like a couple accent walls on the side of our patio. And that's what everyone told me. They're like, "Oh, you go there and get some cedar to use or whatever, and it'll be perfect for you." So it was nice wood.
Yeah, and Pawnee lumber is great. I mean, we've done I just remodeled my house, and most everything we bought was through Pawnee lumber. But as far as like good quality hardwood lumber for woodworkers, there's not awesome. Really. I mean, Pekin Hardwoods, I guess, up in Pekin is about the closest place that really sells that stuff. So we're looking forward to kind of branching off and doing that as well, as just kind of a different revenue stream. I think as business owners, we kind of look at this time frame and say, okay, how do you create more revenue streams so to protect us against stuff like this.
Yeah,
You know, if the commercial clients dry up because they're closed,
something else
then let's find somewhere else to draw revenue from, because at the end of the day, you still have employees to pay, you still have a building to pay for, and all that. So
that's awesome. Well, no, that'll be neat. How I know, like, so you know, we remodeled our house and we got done, and I was talking to one of the guys that was working on it. He's like, man, you're lucky you got done with it when you did. He's like, the price of lumber has like tripled.
Yep.
How has that, now obviously some of your stuff's reclaimed wood or whatever, but how has that affected you guys? Is it, have you seen a big price increase with stuff that you do? I don't know where you're, obviously with the wood, I don't know how.
The big thing for us, I mean, the beauty of it for us is that we control the sourcing of our lumber. So the barns that are getting torn down are people who've contacted us, and we put them in, and you know, so that whole kind of circle, we can control our source there. From the live edge slabs and things like that, we mill and dry our own lumber, so we're not really getting hit with. We're not. You know, so
that's what I wondered.
If I go to Pawnee Lumber, it's 300% more than what it was in March.
Right.
And no fault of them. It's 300% more for them too.
Yeah.
And you know, being that we have all the logs sitting out there, and we can just, you know, if we ever get slow, we can we can mill up some more slabs, and we can fill up the kiln, and that's what we've done. Is, you know, our kiln's full at all times, and as soon as it's emptied, we load it again. And so
how long does it take to, like, I don't know enough about how that works to probably phrase this question properly, but like drying out wood like that, how long does something like that take?
Yeah, so the big thing is it depends on how long the log's been down. So, you know, I had a guy call me yesterday. He cut down a walnut tree that was alive last week, and he wants to cut and dry it. And I'm like, oh, you can, but it's probably 50+% moisture content.
Yeah.
What we typically do is the log sits for a while, we seal the ends, once we cut it, we sticker it, and we let it air dry for a while. Usually we try to get it down to about 20% moisture content air drying, and then we put it in the kiln, finish it off.
Is there a way to, like, test that then?
Yeah, so we have a moisture meter that we can test. You
just, like, drill a hole?
Yep.
Okay.
And but our kiln, we knew we wanted to kind of have a commercial kiln. We didn't want just a homemade makeshift, you know, deal. So we invested in a good one. We've got a Nile L200 dehumidification kiln, which basically what that means is it's a giant commercial dehumidifier specifically designed for wood, and it's got probes that you can drill into the wood, and the computer will tell us what the moisture is of all that wood and what the temperature is. We have complete control over the whole situation. And so that process, typically from green lumber to dry, is about an inch per month. So if you give me 1 inch lumber, it's going to take about a month. 2 inch lumber is going to take about 2 months.
Interesting.
And we dry it down to 6%. And it gets hot enough that it kills off any bugs or anything like that you might worry about.
Yeah.
And we actually use that for our reclaimed lumber too. So on the reclaim side, it's dry. It's been, you know, it's 100+ years old, but, you know, there's always the concern of insects, things like that. And so we throw it in there. We do a heat treatment. We get it hot enough and kills off anything. So it helps stabilize the wood. It helps stabilize the wood too for woodworking. So
it's kind of like I don't know why the first thing that goes to my head is like grilling, like checking your meat.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool. Well, man, sounds like you guys are definitely, you know, looking at. I like that. That's neat that you're thinking about doing that. What did you call it? Sangamon hardwoods.
Yep.
Wow, that's cool. Well, that's definitely a good thing for people to keep in mind. Is so that's kind of, you haven't like officially done that, but you are active with that.
We're actively selling. Kind of the big thing for us from a marketing perspective is we want to, before we really kind of announce it, have a grand opening, whatever, we want to build up our inventory. I want you to come out there, and I want it to be what I have envisioned, versus right now it's kind of, hey, here's our wood shop, and next to it are a bunch of lumber racks, and yes, there's wood on it for sale, but it's not up to par for what I want it to be yet.
I gotcha.
So we're going to build that inventory, really establish a system to sell that lumber outright. But yeah, right now we still have contractors that stop by and say, hey, you know, can I buy a slab? And, you know, they go back there and do their thing. But it's not quite up to scale to what I want it to be yet.
Yeah.
So
how many people do you got like officially employ or whatever?
So I've got 5 total. And you know, I'm part-time employee, I guess.
Right.
So, you know.
Because what do you do? Like, what is it, like 2 days on?
We're 24 on, 48 off at the fire station. And then plus, you know, overtime and all those things. So, you know, the shop comes second. And, you know, whenever, you know, I'm typically there Monday through Friday on the days I'm not on shift. But I've got, and that's kind of the thing, is I've got an awesome team out there that
have some good people.
You absolutely have to. You know, you've got to have people out there that you can trust to run all the day-to-day operations, because it can't stop when I'm at the fire station, and I can't be available to the business when I'm at the fire station. It's just a dynamic that is very different with me having that career.
Yeah.
It's great having the 2 days off, but you don't always have those 2 days off.
Right.
So
it's kind of funny. It's I know a number of firefighters, and it seems like everybody has a little side business or something to keep them busy. Yeah. But yours is a lot more than a side business. That is for sure.
Yeah, and we started. I was just in my garage out there in Sherwood Subdivision, I just thought I was gonna build a few tables, and then it got to the point where my wife's like, "All right, I want my garage back." so find a space, and so I found a space, and we.
Well, I mean, geez, when you start getting equipment, and like I just have a miter saw, and I'm like, God, I hate how much room this thing's taking up. It's just miter saw and a stand.
Yeah,
but when you get a table saw and start getting everything you need.
Yeah, our first shop that I ever had was 1,500 square feet.
Where was it?
Over on South 13th Street.
Okay.
And kind of over in the Cabbage Patch.
Yeah.
And so the old man that he still owns the building, John Cheese is his name, and he's an awesome guy. He's in his 80s, and he's a little bit of a woodworker too. So anyway, he always gives me a hard time that when I first opened the door, he's like, I'll never forget your face. He's like, you saw this space, and he said, there's more space than you would ever need. 6 months later, I'm knocking on his door. I'm like, hey, John, can I get that other space too? And eventually we took over like 75% of the building. We had 6,000 square feet over there. And, we had an awesome wood shop and storage and all that, but it just kind of came time to buy as opposed to leasing.
Exactly.
And so we bought that building out there that we're in now at auction, and it's 14,000 square feet. It's an awesome building. It used to be a Caterpillar place, and we've already filled it up. Like, we're out of space again.
That's
so
crazy.
And it's not that we're not looking for a bigger space by any means, but, it's just funny how the business has evolved, and, our wood shop now is, it's 8,000 square feet. And it flows pretty well, and we've got 3 guys working in there full time pretty much. And it's still, there's times when it's not big enough, and it's crazy to see it evolve that quickly over the last 6-7 years. So
yeah, how I'm trying to find a building right now, and I've looked at a couple, but it's kind of scary making that commitment.
It is. I joke with my father-in-law not too long ago about this. Is before I bought the building, like knowing that I had the fire department, I had my career. This is kind of my side hustle, my hobby, my kind of it's a passion thing for me. I didn't ever have to do it.
Right.
So I kind of joked that before I bought the building, it's kind of like I was dating the business. Like you could quit at any time and you're okay.
Right.
And then when I bought the building, you're kind of married to it now. Like now there's more of a commitment there. You can't just walk away at any point. Mm-hmm. It completely changes the dynamic of how you view the business. And the kind of the power of that for me was there was never an exit strategy in my mind anymore. It wasn't ever like I could just drop this and leave. Like there's so much more to that. And the same thing happened when I had my first full-time employee. It's like I have somebody who's relying on my business to feed their families. Like that's huge. That's a huge weight on your shoulders and a huge commitment.
For sure.
And so they just completely changed the dynamic of how you operate your business. And kind of operating with that, there's no failure is not an option, is a completely different mindset, and has probably honestly made me more successful.
Yeah. And that's where, I've grown Ootbox pretty organically and I don't want to say slowly, but carefully.
Yep.
I haven't taken a ton of risk, but it's kind of at that point where I'm like, all right, we got to do something and really start a push here, or otherwise, there's opportunities arising that it's kind of time that we got to tackle those and take advantage of them. Otherwise, we're going to miss out. So trying to figure something out, but yeah, it's just a little scary making that jump, I guess. And then deciding how big and how much you want to spend. And because the last thing I want to do is buy something and then be like, a couple of years, like, oh, we got to buy something else or move, so it, yeah,
that strategic growth thing it's a huge thing that you kind of, I think after you do it almost, you kind of look back and you're like, that as much as that was a risk, like, it was a calculated risk,
right?
And the direction that it's able to move the business is so much more beneficial than the what if we didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just outside looking in, it looks like that makes a lot of sense for your business.
Yeah.
And I think that for me, I'm a little bit of a dreamer. My wife will tell you that I'm always looking at opportunity. Like
right.
I know every building that's for sale in this town.
Yeah,
because I'm always looking.
I tell you.
Yeah, I'm always looking at these opportunities. I'm like, man, that building, if it wasn't for what's going on right now, should be twice that.
Yeah.
And so if you buy it now and you can weather the storm, then 2 years from now, you've got an investment.
Did you see that the old, there's a building on the corner there downtown that has like the old Catch, Marley's, like that whole corner's for sale, like a 20-car parking garage.
It's huge. Yeah.
I was like, man, that's like everything right there.
Yeah. So I walked through that building. We looked at the old Catch space.
Yeah.
The upstairs of Catch.
Yeah.
And so we looked at that for a showroom because I was like, man, how awesome would we have all this light come in?
It's such a great corner, the windows, and
and the conversation we had earlier. Yeah. So like that's such a cool space. And I was like, I'm not a renter. Like I looked at it and she was offering a nice price because it's what's going on in so many vacant spaces. And I'm not a renter. I just can't do it.
Yeah.
And
that whole thing has got destroyed, man, because all the bars are closed down now. And it's just like.
And all the state workers aren't down there right now. So, the from the outside looking in, I think it's easy to look at downtown and be like, hey, it's kind of a ghost town right now. But I think it's also if you can look at the other side of the coin and look at the public market project that's going in down there. Like that's a complete shift for downtown Springfield.
Right.
The 3rd Street Rail Corridor is eventually going to be a green space and a bike path in 2025, I believe.
Which one's that?
So the 3rd Street one, right next to JP Kelly's, runs down. It crosses Capitol right there, that overpass in front of the Capitol.
What all are they doing there?
So the high speed rail project going on. So the high speed rail is pulling all of the train tracks off of 3rd Street, putting them on 10th Street.
Yeah.
And basically what they're going to do is they're going to make that a bike path all the way through downtown.
Nice. That'll be cool.
So like that type of stuff.
I love our downtown.
Yeah.
And that's what I was telling you earlier. Like I would love to have a building down there and move down there. One of the tough things though is just the parking.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to, move down there and then expect my employees to spend whatever $80 a month on parking. I think is what you can get the underground garage for or whatever. Yeah. So that's one of the things I battle with when I think about moving down there. But it's cool down there, and I think there's a lot of people that do appreciate it, and there's a lot of history, and the buildings are kind of neat, and I just like I just feel like you go outside and whatever, walk around, sit down. It's more interesting than just like sitting out.
Yeah, and that's the thing for us out there. We're at an industrial park, and we're fortunate again to have the building that we're in, but there's a disconnect from the community. Being downtown, being downtown, there's just such a different sense of community. I looking around at those buildings to potentially lease for a showroom at one point. It's amazing the people that would text me like, "Oh, are you moving downtown?" And it's like, but it's funny,
just because they saw you.
Yeah, because that's Springfield, but it's also that's what you want too. You want that that presence in the community.
Yeah.
And so it's cool to see that. And the more that we've talked to, we just joined Downtown Springfield Inc. And the more that we talk to them and the more that we talk to Innovate Springfield, and I've been a member of Innovate Springfield for like 3 years, not because I need an office, just because I enjoy what they do down there. And, you talk to those types of people and you see their vision for the community and see how they're investing back in the community and, the buildings they're buying and the businesses they're starting and all that stuff. I mean, and I know that maybe the general perception of downtown Springfield is one thing, but just being involved in it, it's cool to see what's coming down there and the fresh blood that's coming in, and replacing some of these older building owners that have been there for a long time.
Yeah.
Because of the price of buildings, people are, younger people are buying buildings down there and kind of making it their own.
Right.
And so it's been really cool to see.
Yeah, that's where I could see it being a really cool spot.
Yep.
Because I was saying to you earlier, but I'd even imagine, just it would be cool doing this podcast. Like someone walking by, like, oh, that's Brian and Andrew, and they're talking, and they might stand outside and watch or something.
Yeah.
To me, that would just be a pretty neat thing to have, especially summertime. Tourists are there, and it's just kind of something else to talk about. So I mean, I'm still open to it. It's just it's just tough, like figuring out. I don't know. Part of me feels like they should just make parking free down there, but I don't know. Is that the right answer?
And that's been a cool thing with this whole deal is that parking is free down there right now. So every time we're down there, we don't even.
Is it still?
Yeah.
Nice.
So it's free still, but you have to basically if it's a 2-hour limit, you still have to adhere to that. You still have to leave after 2 hours. Yeah. You can't just park down there all day.
Right.
And that's just to protect the businesses to be able to people come and go as they need
right.
to. But yeah, you're right. I mean, that's always a complaint everybody has is this, the parking situation down there, and it doesn't help that big parking ramp next to the Amtrak station is vacant. You know, it's like that would solve a lot of the problem,
yes,
but it needs to be demoed and all that stuff. So
yeah, I think it's just got dilapidated, man. Well, yeah, no, that's awesome. I would love to hear if we could pull up some pictures maybe and just hear,
Oh.
a couple different stories of some of this stuff. Ryan, you want to pull up? Let's jump back and let's see what we got here. So that's a railing on some stairs right there?
Yeah, so we've done a lot of those banister projects. It's kind of something that I designed early on, and it kind of evolved. This is, each guy that works for me kind of comes up with his own take on different designs that we do, which is always cool. Yeah, this specific one was a collaboration with Dreammaker Kitchen and Bath here in town, or actually down in Chatham, that we just finished up here, I guess a month ago or so.
That's awesome. Was it like a remodel or a rebuild? Or?
Yeah, it was a remodel, all reclaimed wood and rebar. Kind of pairs pretty well together. But
so much character, to add to a house. And that's like even with our mantle, it's like an art piece, in your house. It's just a different way to do it.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it is that you can take these these projects that are identical, but every piece of wood's a little different. Yeah. So the projects aren't it's still one of one. They're not two of the same.
Now is that handrail? Is that part of that same project?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And then those doors are cool. I remember you posting those big barn doors.
Yeah. So Spirit Republic, that's one I was telling you early. They took a chance on us early on, like our first 6 months in business, and we did an entire build out. We did their bar and all their tables for their microbrewery out there. I guess they started out as a bar, and now they are a microbrewery as well. They brew their own stuff. And so
where are they at?
They're downtown Lincoln. So if you've ever been up there to Gazzardo's,
yeah.
So one of our favorite things to do is hop on the train.
Is that the place right next across the little alley? Is that the name of it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Gazzardo's.
Yeah, I've been there a couple times.
Yeah, Gazzardo's go up there for some Italian food and then hop into Spirit Republic and.
So fun.
Yeah,
it's such a good little trip. You don't got to drive or nothing. Yeah, no, we've done that a few times with some friends. Let's see what else we got here. Is that Bailey there on the
bottom? On the right there. Yeah, and so this is kind of the nice thing about Bailey. So Nikki Sperry, who owns Bailey, is also a little bit of an interior designer, and she kind of gave us some creative freedom to do whatever we wanted to.
Nice.
Kind of gave us the opportunity to showcase the direction we're moving as opposed to the direction we've been.
Yeah.
And so you'll see kind of these chamfered edges along the bottoms of these tables. All of this wood was sourced from out on Lake Springfield. There's a tree that came down, and so we actually barged this wood. We barged this log all the way across Lake Springfield.
Really?
Yeah, we subbed out one of the dock companies to do it.
Huh.
And
that's interesting.
Yeah, and then we milled, dried all the lumber, and so all of this wood is sourced from. Yeah, I know. Where were you at? I needed a drone of that.
What else we got here? That's awesome.
So,
yeah, I need to get over there, but they're still closed. Well, the restaurants here.
Yeah, they're open for carryout still.
Some Cubs and
Cardinals. We don't even talk about the Cubs one, but yeah, we had the Cardinals one up there. So yeah, we do.
Ryan over here controlling some Cubs, man. So picking that.
So with our Flags for Heroes, like there's wall art piece gifts, but we do those baseball style ones too. Just try to do something different.
Yeah,
so.
And then that's cool with the glass. Right there.
Yeah, that was a pretty unique one. So we use Bacon and Buskirk for all of our glass stuff, and again, try to do as much local as we can. This client came to us with this idea to do a glass top on some sort of wood base. And
look at those big chunks of wood. Is that reclaimed? Or?
Yeah, so that's a reclaimed white oak. And actually, I took my crew out when in the middle of all this COVID crap. We were getting a little burnout and just wanted to get out of the shop and do something.
Yeah.
So we had a gal call us with a barn up in Tremont, kind of up Peoria. And it's like, hey, this thing's getting bulldozed on this Friday. You guys can have whatever you want. And we're like, you know what? Normally I'd say no, but we need something.
Yeah,
so 6 of us hopped in the truck, went up there, and just tore up stuff for the day.
Yeah.
Got the chainsaws out. And
it's probably nice. One thing I love about Bootbox is just doing something different all the time between websites, video production, photography. Working with the team, and I assume it's probably like that with you. You got tables, bars. Unique stuff like what would be one of the most unique things you think you've been asked to do?
So probably so there's a guy out in Sherman. His name's Terry Grisby. He's a builder, Keystone Custom Built Homes, and he actually had us help him build a cabin inside his basement. So his man cave he took to a whole different level. Instead of just being a room full of his taxidermy, it's actually got a porch. It's got like the old screen door that creaks, and it's got a little tin roof over it.
In the basement?
Yeah, in the basement. And so he had
to saw somebody online do something like that with a wine bar.
Yeah. So we did this whole cabin in his basement, and that was a pretty cool project. But we we had that architect from here in town that had us go down. We went down to Austin, Texas, and did that.
Oh yeah. I saw pictures of that.
Yeah, and that was
Go ahead,
it's kind of a cool project that it was. When they told us they were going to fly us down to Austin, Texas, I was like,
keep going down. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, no, that was cool. I remember seeing the pictures.
That one's cool there. So basically, all those four that are actually all those that are together there. So that project was kind of crazy. Back in what year was the Washington tornado? 08?
Oh yeah, yeah,
somewhere there.
Yeah, I think yeah.
So I was in the military still, and we were all up in Peoria for our drill weekend, and that tornado came through, and we got shipped out to Washington to search all the houses that got demolished, and so we went through and we we're digging through the rubble and all that stuff, and it was just a crazy experience at the time. But fast forward to now, this couple approaches us out of Washington, and that's their house, and there's the aftermath of the tornado.
Go ahead, click on that aftermath right there.
Yeah, completely destroyed their entire property.
Jeez.
And so after the fact, they had all the trees that were left, they cut down and they milled the lumber. And so if you click back, you'll see kind of some of the finished product. We took the lumber that they saved from that farm, and they built a new house
The
there.
headboard. And
The headboard, the kitchen table, end tables. As I scroll down, I think there might be a few more. But yeah. So everything that
What's that one on the wall right there? Scroll right next to in the middle. It looks like.
So they use that for like a mudroom type deal. They're gonna hang coat hooks on it or whatever.
Okay.
But
Cool.
so those we were talking about those lodging table projects. This kind of took it to a whole nother level. Their entire property was destroyed by that tornado, and they commissioned us to build all the furniture for their house out of wood they saved from the tornado.
Wow.
So
yeah, that's so
those types of
what a
projects,
story. Though.
Yeah,
that was made. All this was made out of the wood from our. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool.
What else we got here? Let's see. That's a nice mantle right there. That's cool. Or shelf, I guess it looks like. There's a nice bar.
Yeah, there's a bar that that was a refab project where the bar was already there. It's kind of got that mid-century modern vibe.
Like that.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, we just throw a new box logo up there. But yeah, we redid this whole bar for a couple here in town.
There's the feet for that glass table, or the legs for that
Yep.
glass table. So was that Austin, Texas? Was that one of the biggest projects, would you say?
Yeah, that's definitely the biggest project that we've ever done. It was definitely kind of an undertaking. I think I had 6 full-time guys at the time doing just to keep up with it, along with trying to keep our regular clients going. So
Yeah. A cool barn or sliding
some of our
doors
doors,
there.
yeah.
Is that an easel?
Yeah, so that's at the Gallery Hair Salon. They had us do these are like their stations for the hairstylists. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
You know what's funny about the gallery is they were like, so before I actually started this business, I don't even know how, I'm trying to remember how it worked out. I did some work with Merle Norman, who's still one of our customers, one of my first and longest customers I've ever had. I don't remember how it worked out, how I got with her, but I did a website for her. This is while I was still working my job, before I quit. But I did a website for her, and then she recommended me to the gallery. And those were like the 2 first real clients I ever had.
Yeah.
The websites were not good, and especially compared to today. But there's epoxy getting poured in. I love those epoxy tables.
And that one next is that Blue Cross project.
Oh yeah, there we go. Click on
we're
that.
not supposed to.
Okay.
That's that Austin, Texas project we did.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome.
So there's that epoxy. Yeah, we do a lot of those epoxy pours. The rotor tables are pretty cool. You can do any color you want, and it starts out as a liquid like that, and then it cures, and it actually ends up being harder than the wood that it's attached to.
Yeah, that's so cool. I know. Next time we do a table, we'll probably want to do something like that.
You pour some orange right in the middle.
There you go. A little river of orange.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Man, look at all that stuff. So cool.
So you're talking about your Microsoft taking up a lot of space. This is our new toy here on the bottom left. It's called a Wood Whiz. It's a 16-foot by 6-foot table,
Go ahead,
and
click on it around, let's take a closer look at this.
it's got a giant router head over the top of it, and that's how we flatten and sand all of our slabs. So it's a monster.
Huh. So I see it down there. Is it that red piece?
Yeah. So underneath that is basically just like a router, but it's huge. It's got like a 5.5 horsepower motor on it.
So it's like those the smaller versions that you plane. Is it like you plane wood through? Is it
Yeah,
kind of similar?
kind of, yeah.
Okay. Damn, that thing is huge. How big did you say it was?
16 foot by 6 foot, and it's all on a track system. So you just flip the switch and it goes one way.
Takes it right there.
So there's some more epoxy.
Beautiful.
That bottom one, that was pretty cool. So if you click on that one. So this whole project, the guy did a wine bar, and this
Is that a home project?
yeah, it was with a local contractor for a guy, so we got the live edge table there that had a bunch of rot in the center, and we actually poured epoxy on it.
Yeah.
And the guy told me he was in our showroom and saw that turquoise table you saw.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, I think we want to do a turquoise one. I'm like, all right, that's cool. Yeah, we can do a color pigment. He's like, no, I'm going to bring you turquoise. So he brought me turquoise pebbles. And we placed them down at the bottom of this table, and then poured epoxy over top of it. So
That's awesome.
Yeah, looking down into it, it looks like you're looking into an aquarium almost.
That's so cool.
And then all the wine storage we have.
Well, it's neat that it's good for people to keep in mind. If there's something custom you want to do or something you want to work in, throw it out there. It sounds like they can throw some ideas your way, and that's in your showroom right there on the left, right?
Yep.
Little showroom out there.
So yeah, we most of what we do is custom, but we do have a handful of tables for people to either see or buy straight out of the showroom
Some
floor.
ideas and stuff.
Yeah, it's usually a little bit cheaper to buy one straight off the floor than it is to have a custom one commission, but gives you an idea of different, the kind of different scope of what we can make.
Yeah, that's awesome. Is there what else we got here? Kitchen table there, nice. Oh yeah, man, you guys do a lot of different stuff. I guess, man, is there anything anything special we should share here when you let people know? What's your, I guess the main thing to, SangamonReclaimed.com, right?
Yep, SangamonReclaimed.com. We're on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, all that stuff.
That's awesome. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap it up. That was
good. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
I like the story ending there going through. That'd almost be something fun to do in its own, talk about different pieces and stuff. But yeah, well, we definitely appreciate you coming on. What I guess let's jump back to this question before we get out of here, before I forget. What hardest part of being a business owner? What would you say? I know we talked about a couple different things earlier, but
I know the easiest thing to say is your work-life balance, and it's kind of a cliche because your work is a big portion of your life, of course. But having a family and just trying to balance that, and not take this.
How many kids you got?
2. So I've got
how old are they?
4 and 6.
Okay.
And my
So
wife
you're just a little bit ahead of me.
Yeah.
Right?
How old are yours?
Both under 2.
Oh, wow.
My oldest is about to be 2, and my youngest is 4.5 months.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. Well, 4 and 6 is an awesome age. They're a whole lot more fun than they are when they're
they're
a lot less
stressful right now.
Yeah, I bet. So, and my wife, she works full time. She's a nurse practitioner and works in the ICU, so she's right in the thick of all this stuff.
Oh, wow.
And so, just trying to balance that and not take the stresses of work home with you, and let that affect your time.
That is tough.
Yeah. So, just being present in every facet of life. So, when I'm at the fire station, I got to be present. I got to be 100% focused on being a fireman.
Right.
When I'm home, I got to be 100% focused on being a father and a husband.
Kind of switching gears.
And just switching gears and leaving that at the door. I mean, that's the hardest thing. My wife will be the first to tell you I'm not great at it yet.
Yeah.
Every day is try to get a little bit better than yesterday, but that's such a hard balance.
It is.
And
I definitely agree with that.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I can't think of anything that's harder than that.
I was just talking to my wife just these last couple of days, just kind of bringing up the fact that, like, a lot of, in YouTube, being creative and like, and focusing on what you're doing and really being there to do it. But like, there's just so much going on at home with the kids and, the stresses of that. Sometimes I found it hard lately to like be, I guess just be there, like you're saying, I find myself at work, my mind kind of getting crowded, or like I can't think, sometimes straight.
And especially in an environment like this where you have to be creative.
Yeah.
Like when the stresses of everything else going on weigh you down, it's hard to really do your job. It's hard. It's hard to be good at it and enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest with you. Yesterday I was scrambling to. We had to reschedule,
right?
And then I get here today, and like I've been
Brian stood me up yesterday.
I did. Thank you for the text. I rushed over here today, and I've been stressed all day.
Yeah.
I've been running every different direction, and this has been the most enjoyable part of my day. Just stopping, and just embracing kind of this conversation and not worrying about everything else.
Yeah. Well, that's what I do. I like having conversation, learning.
Yeah.
Just, I've learned a lot just talking to you today about everything going on over there, what you do, and that's what I love about it. But awesome. Well, definitely appreciate you coming on, making some amazing stuff. And definitely appreciate what you do at the fire department too.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, it means a lot, and appreciate the service and everything. Got a lot of stuff you got going, man. So, well, thanks a lot for joining us, everybody. Again, just a reminder, you could check this out on video on Facebook and YouTube, and streaming on all major platforms, and now even on Alexa. Tell Alexa, play Inside the Box podcast, and it should pull up for you.
There you go.
All right. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.